see a show of hands of gun owners in the crowd? Okay. And can I see show of hands for non-gun owners? Okay, so I'm going to ask all of the non-gun owners to leave now because, well, because statistically you're more dangerous than the gun owners. We're Canada's largest pro-firearms organization. We're 70,000 plus members. We're the only registered gun lobby, pro-gun lobby at the federal level. On average in Canada, across coast to coast, legally licensed firearm owners are responsible for anywhere from 5 to 8 to maybe 10 homicides, and that's across this country. And in fact, there are more kids in this country that choke on hot dogs, okay? On average, about 16 children choke from hot dogs. So there's more kids choking on hot dogs than there are people being killed by legally licensed firearm owners. So why don't we just ban hot dogs? Why don't we just, now you need a license to buy a package of hot dogs at the store. 10,000 Canadians are dying from secondary side effects from medication. In 2002, 3,500 people died in car accidents and another 6,000 were injured. If this was really truly about saving lives for the other side of, now I'm talking about the anti-gun crowd, okay? If this was truly about saving lives, then why aren't we focusing all of our efforts, all of this money, on actually saving lives? The Long Gun Registry was a sad attempt it was basically built as a memorial to the Polytechnic Massacre. Unfortunately, we were sold a bad bill of goods because now this Firearms Act and the Gun Registry, all of these things that they've put in place to combat crime have now turned back to bite us, and it's now criminalizing us as a community, and we're law-abiding. We're amongst the most honest people in this country. It's all about getting rid of the guns. They want to disarm the population. I mean, that's what it really boils down to. They want to take people's guns. They don't want the public having guns. They believe that the police should have guns. Police officer, when he becomes a police officer, he only goes through one criminal check in his whole career. Well, me as a firearms owner, the RCMP and the Firearms Center randomly do a background check on me every single day. Statistically, we have a lower crime rate or murder rate than the average Canadian. So the ladies that just walked by, they are not gun owners. They may be anti-gun. They have a higher homicide rate, 2/3 higher than a legally licensed firearm owner. There's an unknown fact about our police, about military. They train with what they call the 21-foot rule. You can look it up. All of our civilian police, RCMP, city police, they all train with this 21-foot rule, which says that within 21 feet, a person with a knife is more dangerous or equally as dangerous as somebody's holding a pistol, a holstered pistol, okay? So that tells me right away that no measure, if I'm sending a police officer to a private residence to do a search or to intervene in a domestic call or something of that nature, we want those police to be able to protect themselves. And a gun registry actually puts their lives in danger because now they're referencing a gun registry. Oh, there's no guns. So now their guard comes down. But really there's illegal guns in the house. If we ban guns, are the bad guys still gonna get the guns? Well, statistically, if we look to Chicago, if we look to Washington, if we look to New Jersey, if we look to Britain, there's a big scandal in Britain right now because they've been lying to the public about the crime rates. Gun crime. They banned handguns. Well, what happened? Only the bad guys had guns. When you outlaw all of the guns, only the outlaws have the guns. Guns save lives. Unfortunately, there are crazy people that we're always hearing about those ones, but we don't hear about the single mother in Texas that was, that effectively defended her life and the lives of her children in the closet, against this known rapist. So we don't hear things like this in Canada because it doesn't sell. Canada's a country because, the English that were here, they were such a small force trying to defend against the Americans, they had no choice but to arm their citizens. The native Canadians, just the average farmer, took up arms and they built this country. But we've lost our identity. It's now been manifested and manipulated into something else. Ian Thompson, firebombed in his home. The criminals got 3 years in jail. This man lost basically his retirement fund trying to defend himself. Defending his life, defending his property. His dog was lit on fire. And here we've got a guy that comes outside to defend his life and his property, shoots 2 shots off in the air at these bad guys that are trying to burn his house. The whole incident is filmed, and the police still accused Ian Thompson. This is the measure of Canadian gun law. There was a fellow out in Western Canada, 83-year-old Korean War veteran. The guy walks with a walker. He's got home care nurses, all this stuff. Years before, he was working offshore and was working for schools, transferring money from the schools, private schools in impoverished countries, and he bought a gun to protect himself and protect the money. Well, when he came back to Canada, he brought the gun home. Well, the gun, as it turns out, after the change of law, came a prohibited gun. Well, one day the nurse was going through his drawers looking for something to help this poor guy. She finds the gun. She calls the police. This 83-year-old Korean War veteran is now in illegal possession, 1, of a prohibited weapon, 2, a ready-to-fire prohibited weapon because it can be fired. And now this 83-year-old decorated Korean War veteran, an upstanding citizen of our community, a proud Canadian, is up in front of a judge at 83 years old, staring down the barrel of a 3-year minimum sentence. That is wrong. It is wrong to do this to people. And, you know, we don't recognize how draconian, how bad these laws are until you get your fingers caught in the system. The arbitrary powers, you know, any good and sufficient reason. You know, we give this power to CFO. I mean, in a democratic society, we empower those people to say any good and sufficient. Well, what does good and sufficient mean? It's totally discretionary. It's wrong.